Yeah, locusts. I knew it was something black. Um, in the courtyard of those. So that's the existing, and then the proposed changes. And then here's for the new hardscape. You can see the courtyards would be resurfaced with concrete. And then there's some little seating areas here and a little seating area here. And then in this one, there's little picnic tables and chairs, and then a little seating area. So the improvements, and then, still some planter boxes as well. And then 2 new redbud trees. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself on my plans. But this is just the hardscape improvements. And then the elimination of those walls in the front. And then some new stone boulder accents instead for a more natural look. And then here's the proposed landscaping plan. New redbud trees are proposed here, and one over here. And, right here. And then in the front yards would be the remaining paper bark trees with some low shrubs and ground covers and some decomposed granite mulch areas in the front. And then the little planter areas here, and with more drought tolerant plants. And then here's the proposed exterior colors and materials. So they're proposing to repaint the stucco, the stucco exterior with the La Habra Dove Gray, so kind of a off-white color. And then the trim, which would be like kind of the accent color here, is this Sherwin-Williams shagbark, which is a brown, and it's actually a solid body stain, not a paint, but it would be multiple coats to pure opaque. And then this is the concrete that they're proposing with the stamped designs, or the grid pattern, really. So basically just updating the complex. So the summary of issues for comments tonight are the proposed tree removals and the plant palette, the proposed hardscape materials, the proposed exterior paint colors, public views from the street frontage, and then the compatibility with the neighborhood and the small beach town character. And then the recommendation from staff is that the board should receive public testimony and provide comments to the applicant and staff. And if the board feels the project meets the applicable design criteria, the board may recommend preliminary and/or final approval to the community development director. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, any questions for staff? I hear no. No. And the applicant, come on down, or up, or whatever. Welcome.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brian, put your button there for your green light. There you go. Okay. So there isn't any particular fancy presentation prepared. This is really a renovation project because it's really tired, and everything's cobbled together, and in particular, some of the paving is failing in the courtyards, and it just looks really old and tired, and it's a tired design. So just trying to do something fairly straightforward, simple, maintainable, and then we're removing all the turf in the front of the project. So there is no turf proposed on the project anymore. As a result, the thought is always, where do people go and how can they best utilize the property? And so the small entry features to kind of create a court of entry for visitors and maybe for all the kids that live there, and that's kind of it. The tree issue is mainly maintenance because they're growing into the power lines, and some of them are kind of ill-formed, and so they've been pruned pretty heavily over the last few years, and so the idea is to separate them a little bit, give them a little bit more space, and then add some trees that are a little more sympathetic to the public realm, where they're more in scale with people on sidewalk and such. And then as far as the beach character, I ocean swim down the street, and pretty familiar with the neighborhood, and the idea is to do something with adapted plants that will kind of fit the progressive, a little bit more of a progressive planting idea, where we have very little water or no water once the plants are established. That's it.
I like it. Brief. Good. Questions for, start with you, Richard.
Not necessarily questions, it's just comments.
Okay.
I have a love-hate relationship with black locust trees. I lived in a house that had two beautiful big black locust trees, great crown, great shade. And initially I looked at it and said, they're taking out the black locust trees. And then today I walked into the courtyards there and they're ugly black locust trees. And they need to go as well. The other bad thing about black locust trees is that the seed pods that come from them are poisonous. I had a 4-year-old daughter who decided, gee, these look like seed pods for sweet peas. So she ingested them and spent the night in the hospital, and they poured liquid charcoal in her. So it'll be nice to get rid of the black locust trees and the seed pods, especially if you got a lot of kids running around. So, and I did also notice that some of the melaleuca trees are really uplifting the planters in the front, so they need to be thinned out, and the planters gone as well. So.
Okay, good comments. Amy?
Sorry, Mr.
Oh.
Chair, we should do public comment.
Yes.
Oh.
Before we get into more
I always jump there.
deliberation. I didn't want to jump in.
Okay, always jump in, please. Any public comment to this issue, item?
Check on Zoom.
If we have any public comments, please raise your hand now. Looks like no public comments at this time.
See, I knew that, so it's okay. Cut to the chase.
And Mr. Chair, we did have the comments from, public comment from board member O'Connor, who couldn't make it, and I
Right.
distributed those, and I have copies here in case anybody didn't get to read those comments.
Okay, thank you. And that's for both items tonight.
Yeah,
so-
right.
Okay. All right, very good. Amy? Hello?
Okay.
Oh, now I'm on.
Green light.
Now I'm on. Overall, I think it's a good project. I can understand why you would want to remove the melaleucas, and I think that that's warranted in this instance. Just a couple of comments about the plant materials. I just don't know that the beach strawberry is going to really be as hardy as you need it to be right up front next to the sidewalk. Maybe consider an alternate material, ground cover for that location. I also, so that's a little higher water use plant too, but I see we're sort of saying that they're all low water use plants, which they're not really all, but maybe if you were able to change that spec out to something, there's a lot of great below manzanitas. I think that would be nice to go with the other manzanitas you've got on your palette here. And the other thing I would just say is I don't know that it's a great plan to go in without any irrigation system. I would highly recommend getting some kind of irrigation on there. They have turf, right? So there's some existing valves that could just be maybe converted to use for drip lines.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Okay. The irrigation is cobbled together, and to the best of my knowledge, there must be some gardener or gardeners that manually operate part of it, and it's all just wonky.
Okay.
And there are hose bibs strategically placed all around the building in every location. And so the thought is to water to establishment, and because we're coastal, I don't know how long you've been here, maybe longer than me, but my experience is that once the plants are established, that oftentimes it takes very, very little to maintain them. And if they've already got the gardener or somebody there doing minimal maintenance on a garden like this, that taking the little bit of extra time to put a little extra water in certain spots might be a better strategy than trying to put in new main line, or, I mean, that would be a massive project.
Well, you're already removing all of the turf, removing several of the major trees, putting in concrete. I'm not sure that adding a couple.
Are you familiar with the site?
lines- Yeah, I've been by a few times.
Yeah, there's water sources all over the place that are connected and most likely illegal. We'd like to just eliminate those.
I would just reiterate that I don't think I could support doing this without an irrigation system. I think you're going to spend a lot of money and time on plant material and not have anything to water it. So those are my comments.
Okay, very good.
We've done that in different places, and everywhere that we've done it, it's been successful, but it's also been a problem or something that the local municipality has had to adjust and think about, because the intent of the water use regulations for the state are to reduce water use.
That's
so it's-
actually not factually correct. The intent of the water efficient landscape ordinance is to use water efficiently.
Correct, and
So
is it-
not necessarily lowering the water use.
Right, but it's how you operate a system and what kind of system you have. So let's talk about this
So
for just a
you
moment.
think-
So if you put in
Okay,
a
I'm not
in an
gonna, I
inline
don't need
drip-
to be argumentative. I have the comment
It's,
that
it's their comment time, so we should
I
just listen.
can't support
I'm sure
this
the
without
chair
an
will
irrigation
give you an
system.
opportunity after all the comments are heard to provide some context.
Richard?
Well, I think the improvement is a great idea. I kind of liked, could you do something along the stairways to enhance them with a creeping vine or something like that would cling to the stringers or something like that to make them a little bit more artful as opposed to deadly architecturally? Other than that, I think Amy's comment is you can't have plants if you can't get them started. So unless you're going to commit to having a workforce out there to do it, that would be the option, I guess. That's the end of my comment.
All right, thank you. I was in high school when they built those. They were Section 8 housing, and I've seen the full gambit from dirt with no landscaping to people running around, no screens, they were trash. And I have to agree with Amy as well. It's a nice thought to think, oh, well, the owners of this project are going to have somebody come out periodically and use a hose and water. That's not going to happen. And it looks good in the beginning, but at the end, after everything's planted and the bean counters start counting the beans, nobody's going to take care of it, and it's going to die off, and you'll go back to the old days of dirt in the front. So you've got hose bibs strategically placed. You've already got that. You could do minimal drip irrigation or watering in that project. If you're going to be doing the work, do the work. And again, we have to take a look at the area around it, and do we want to revert back to 30 years ago when it was just nothing but dirt? All the plantings died off, and they looked pretty crappy. So that would be, I would have to agree with the irrigation. If you're going to take the time to plant it, put in an irrigation system that's a drip that's easily taken care of. They're going to have a maintenance contract with somebody anyway. Now, whether you just get a blow-and-go guy, it's all going to die. So you're trying to make an improvement. Everything else looks great. I mean, I wholeheartedly support this project. But I think you really need to, and I think you've heard that from all of us up here. But the one caveat is, once you do the work and walk away in a year's time, it's going to look trashy. So this is one way to go forward.
So, Mr. Chair, may I suggest a potential avenue?
Sure.
Sounds like general support for the project, and your motion could be something such that, if irrigation is going to be installed, that you could move the project along, but without that, then you wouldn't be able to support it. That way, we could, Cindy could work with the applicant, and if they choose to come up with an irrigation plan, then we wouldn't have to necessarily need to come back to you. And if they don't, then the project wouldn't receive its approval. So it's kind of binary, it seems like.
Yeah.
we've got two options here in an effort not to have to circle back.
I
if
like that
makes
idea, not
sense.
circling back, so I second your motion. That's very good.
That was your motion.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hear your motion, whoever wants to make it.
Okay. So, everybody good? So you heard from the board that we think it's a great project, it's a big improvement. We've seen the ups and downs over the history of those buildings. So, with that being said, I would entertain a motion to move it forward with the caveat that the applicant come back with some type of irrigation plan,
I'll make that motion.
okay?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, good luck.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. The big issue tonight, here we are. Number 2. Let's see. Come on up.
Please.
Yeah. Okay, go sit back down. Red Rover, that's right. The music stopped. Okay, welcome again.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I got to run for this.
All right. Well, we're back, and it hasn't been that long. It was May. It was the end of May, right? May 30th. That's right. So, gosh, not too long ago. I don't think the project site needs introduction, vicinity maps, and those kind of things. But we will go through. So I'm going to move through fairly quickly because the plan, much like the plans, my presentation is not much different than you've seen before, and so the focus is going to be to talk about the differences from when your board last saw it on May 30th at the conceptual level. So just for the public's information as well. So background, approximately, the building dates back to approximately 1912, originally constructed as a hotel and named after the landmark palm trees that we all know about. Converted to its present mix of uses in the 60s. The zoning, our central business district with visitor serving overlay and visitor serving commercial land use designation. As we had reviewed before, the last time we saw the project here, it is a significant historic resource that I don't think there's any disagreement about. The features which were important to its significance are the 2-story volume and the west elevation's 1-story element, so that would be in back. The brick walls, the roof level parapet, and the pressed metal cornice. The arrangement of the doors and windows, the existing wood frame windows, and the south and west elevation's first floor door openings. The original report concluded that the project is consistent with the city's historic preservation policies and with CEQA. I neglected to include, it was a very brief memo that the historians included with their with the actual application for the development plan, which simply said, I reviewed the project updates, which were very minimal, and everything was still consistent in their mind. So I apologize for not including that in the staff report, but it was like a 1-page memo. When your board saw it last, the majority of the comments, both public comments and board comments, were related to noise and parking. The applicants did, as part of their development plan, their formal development plan, and let me step back a little bit for the public that doesn't do this all the time. So the project was heard at a conceptual level back in May, and the conceptual level review is an opportunity for applicants to hear general public comments, get the board's input on the design, and so forth, but not to really weigh in on a very detailed plan set and get into all the land use, zoning types of issues. We touch on them at a high level and just make sure that the project is heading in the right direction before the applicant commits to substantial investment in time and money and plans and so forth. And the result of that, which you'll see in the staff report and the board's minutes from that meeting, was overall support for the project with some specific comments and advice to go ahead and proceed with the formal development plan application and move the project along. So that's what they did, and we received our development plan application. When was that? I think July. And as part of that development plan application, and we had requested and discussed, and based on some of the board's feedback and the public comments at that conceptual hearing, requested a noise study as part of the project. So the noise study was provided. It was included as attachment in your staff report. The noise study basically focused on the most important sensitive receptors, which is the residential neighborhood to the west of the site. And so, as you'll see in the noise study, they did the measurements at certain locations, focusing again on the Yucca Alley and the residential neighborhood in back. And the study included a study of the ambient noise levels, and then importantly, they do modeling based on the proposed project plans, and then the proposed uses, the types of uses, the hours of uses, and the estimated number of gathering participants, customers, what have you. As a result of that study, and importantly, because there was comments about the AC condensers on the backside, so they included that in their study, and the study concluded that even with all the HVAC equipment operating continuously from 7 to 10, the estimated hours of operation of the restaurant, and the rooftop bar and patio areas operated at full capacity, the sound levels to the noise-sensitive receptors, and specifically the residences to the rear, would be would fall below the city's noise exposure limits, and therefore determined that there should not, based on the current design and locations of the HVAC equipment and the walls and those sorts of things, be an impact upon the neighbors. Yes, there will be different noise emanating from the vacant building, but the noise that would presumably be emanating from the building at full capacity would be below the city's noise thresholds. Therefore, based on the results of the noise study, no changes to the plans, although I do have one comment on that, were developed in response to the ARB's comments and the neighbors' comments at the last meeting. When I received the applicant's presentation, they pointed out, they noted that there was one small change that I missed in my plan review, and I'll point out to you. So that was me. It's pretty small. So the result of all this was there was not some large change in the rooftop bar element, which is what this noise study was really all about. No large screening walls or design changes to that rooftop element to ameliorate potential noise, because the noise study determined that based on the existing design and the operational characteristics of what the business would do, that it wouldn't be a nuisance noise impact. The plan updates since your last review, and we'll let the applicant explain in more detail architecturally, but predominantly it was that rear storage area where there was like a walk-in cooler and some outdoor storage, and where the trash areas were. As part of the development plan application, we do have to send this because it's a restaurant, to the health department for their review, and they had some plan check comments and requested corrections that related to that outdoor storage area. And so really the majority of the changes that you'll see were in that back corner. And then the roll-up doors were added to the bar area, which was required, I think, for vector control. So you need to have the bar area, if it's food or drink, secured when not in use. So it doesn't really change the architecture much, because they're roll up and you don't really see them when they're not in use. To respond to comments, specific comments from the ARB, the rear stair and railing metalwork has been revised. The plans now include a section and a detail of the rooftop planner. There was discussion about safety of that rooftop area, and it was kind of already in there, but it wasn't really well detailed, and we've got some details here to show you how that has been accommodated. A landscape plan has been revised to add a new planter strip along the 7th Street Parkway sidewalk, and refurbishing that area, and also including as was suggested, a little buffering strip from the sidewalk in the first parking space at the rear, and we'll show you that. One late breaking thing, and I included in my recent letter, is Public Works reviewed the parkway planting plan and had some suggested changes. Amy, this would be for you. Those came in too late to include those comments in the staff report, but I'm thinking you can probably address what those are. These were just things to be consistent with the city landscape standards. I think like one of them was it was a sharp, pointy, thorny plant that wouldn't be appropriate right next to the sidewalk, and some other things that I'm sure will be touched on. We'll go through the plans quickly again, but really the majority, from a site planning perspective, the big changes were to this area back here in the storage. Now this is trash areas. We did ask the applicant to confirm with Harrison or Marburg that operationally, based on, they have all these new requirements with restaurants and food scraps and all of those kind of things and recycling, that area is large enough and would function for them to come and do the trash service, and it's based on a frequency. So the containers are of a certain size, but then it matters how often they are scheduled to come pick up. So we can get by with smaller trash areas if the frequency of the pickup is increased, and they demonstrated that this would all work operationally. There's now patio, I shouldn't call it an employee area. It's a fenced-in area, and as part of, and we'll talk about parking in a minute, but as part of that redesign of that area, it now includes a secure bicycle storage area. So we've got, like vertical hanging bike racks for employees to bike to work, and then we've also got now a proposed bike parking area along the parkway, which I think you've seen, which we're trying to promote for basically all new projects that come in that have the ability to squeeze some additional bike parking in, because I think, as you see on Fridays and Saturday nights around town, there's bikes laying all over the place because it's great. People are riding their bikes more often, and we want to promote that, but we also want to make sure they're safe and staying out of the sidewalk and that sort of thing. So we're trying to come up with an approach where applicants would provide secure bicycle parking for their employees, and then for visitors and or the public, for guests and or the public, we'll get some new bicycle racks out in the public parkway areas or sidewalk areas. So you're going to see, I think, more of that around town as time moves on. First floor, I'll let the applicants get into a little bit of detail, but again, it's more of the removal of the storage area and the reconfiguring back here, trash areas, employee areas back here. Not a lot has changed in terms of visitor serving areas, and these changes were all kind of back of house. You'll see, of course, the demo plan on the right, that hasn't changed. Second floor, I don't recall there being much changing on the second floor from last time. Roof deck, again, similarly, not a lot changing. The thing that I missed was the extension of this northern wall and the rooftop area, but I think that was it. The addition of the roll-up doors and some other health department requirements, but no changes to, principal elevations, heights, or design or anything like that. And you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Again, with that in mind, really very few changes. But for those that weren't here the last time the project was heard, on the top here is the existing. This is our principal elevation right along Linden. We see the existing shed roof, little add-on, 1960 add-on there. That's the primary change to this elevation, so that gets demolished. And then we've created this new partially roofed, trellised outdoor dining area and planter walls. So that's the big change. You'll see also the elimination of the stairs up to the second floor on the 7th Street side, and we'll see that in a second. So again, on upper is the existing, lower is proposed. Of course, the biggest change you'll see here is the addition of the rooftop elements. So It's that bar area, and of course our elevator, stair and elevator tower here. The dotted blue line represents our 30-foot height limit. And as we had discussed before, the project is going to seek a modification for this 1'8" increase. Couldn't squeeze it in, get the plate heights and the get everything below our 30-foot limit. But as your board recalls, it was generally, I think, unanimous support for that requested modification. The elevator tower, as we'll remember, is considered an architectural projection and is allowed and wouldn't have to comply with the 30-foot limit, and provides ADA accessibility and all of those other things. So there's no special findings or modifications that would be required for the elevator component. On the west elevation, so again, this is in the rear. Big changes back here. Existing above, proposed below. We'll let the applicant team discuss how they responded to your comment with the detailing and the metal work and so forth. You'll see here, this is that kind of employee area, secured bike storage. This is the trash area and so forth. That one-story element that the historians determined was significant, this one-story appendage remains. And so mostly what you've got here is complete redo and rework. I'm sure for building code purposes as well, the stairs back there. And then, of course, again, the bar building up at top. And again, our 30-foot height limit represented by the dashed blue line, and the elevator tower, kind of, you can see that just in back. And then finally, on the north elevation, so that change, that wall is extended, and I don't recall how many linear feet, maybe 2 feet, or it was pretty small, wasn't it? Oh, was it that much more? I didn't. Oh, it wraps. I see. So, more than 2. So again, overall height of the bar building itself not changing, the architectural design, not changing. I forgot to mention our little atrium here that just barely peaks above our 30-foot height limit, but again would be considered an architectural feature, and it wouldn't need its own specific modification or variance as part of the zoning analysis. Sections here that just give you a little better understanding of where we're at with the elevator tower, the atrium, and the bar building. So again, 30-foot height limit dashed. Atrium just above, elevator tower just above. And then I think you can see a little bit more like the depth between in sections, and we can get into that a little bit. Between the planter, the low wall, the 42-inch wall, that surrounds kind of the lounge area and the customer, area, client, patron area, and the edge of the roof. And this was something that we had in the last one, but we didn't have the detail developed at that point, and so we have that now. So to address multiple comments, I think the applicant did a good job in responding directly to each of the board's members' comments from the last meeting. We've got the patio edge detail, so this would be the patio along Linden, the partially covered trellis element. We've got the railing detail, and this is in response to those comments about the metalwork. We've got the, I'm sorry, wrong way. This is the trellis detail. And this is I think the important one that I don't believe we had detailed on the last. And so this kind of shows you, so on the right here, this would be your lounge area where the, folks would be in between, and this is obviously the roof edge and that cornice, and this is the landscape planting area that would be between the two. So I think, and Board Member Little, I think, had the greatest concern about that. And so the intent of this detail here is just to show that depth, show the height of the wall, which is required by code for safety, and then to the extent that we have this larger buffer area here, which is all going to be planted out, and then the roof. So that was kind of the detail, I think, that helps tell that story. Photos, these are pretty much the same as you saw before, so existing and proposed, above and below. The rear change, probably this is the biggest change with the reworking of the stairs and those elements. So again, this would be 7th Street and looking back towards the northeast. Parking area here, parkway that's going to be refurbished along here. Existing on the top, proposed below. Again, quite a bit of work went on back here and these areas here that we previously discussed in the site and the floor plan. Colors and materials are, I think, exactly the same as you reviewed back in at the end of May. Again, painted brick and the color scheme there, and kind of inspiration images and design intent there. Landscaping, biggest changes here. So we had discussed how it would be nice to add a little strip. The previous design didn't have this strip here, so to add a little more of a buffer between the first parking space and the sidewalk. So that's now proposed, and then the other biggest change is basically the complete refurbishment of that existing kind of tired parkway along 7th. So that's a more detailed, more thought out part of the project now, and we'll have some images here for you. This is all pretty much the same, I think, palette-wise. There's some new elements based on board member Blakemore's comments that you have, I think, changes to those. And again, there will be some changes based on the Public Works comments, but not to major plantings or tree species or anything like that. There was mixed comments from the board last time on the mural. Still in the plan package now. It shows kind of the parkway plantings and the palms that will be planted in the actual site properties planters. I think that add a little more kind of balance to what's being proposed. Still within your purview and your discretion to provide comments on that and provide the applicant direction. If you want to share those, we'd like to hear them. Your board also said one of the most important comments was that porous shoals, story poles should be installed so that the board and the community has a better understanding of the massing, the height, the massing, the bulk, scale, and neighborhood compatibility. So those poles did go up. I can't remember the date now, but within the with more time than as required by our policies, and they're still up today if anybody wants to go check them out. I did, not this last week, but the week prior. You can tell by the blue skies. The first photo was the one that I was most interested in, and interestingly, because of the vegetation there, you can't really see it. The other, one that I was, kind of most interested in was this shot directly across the street. And you can see it. It's definitely peeking up there. But, with the design of the bar building being at the rear of it, those views it's not very significantly viewable, surprisingly, from close in. Now, and you'll see, as we get further away, especially going south on Linden, heading back towards the beach, where the corridor kind of opens up, it is definitely much more visible, but still, I think can be found compatible. That's up to you. At the rear, obviously, this would be the closest, most viewable change, right? Because the bar building is at the rear of the roof area. So that's how it looks there, and looking up from Yucca a little bit. On the 7th Street side, yes, viewable, especially the elevator tower here. And these are all natural scale, so no zoom. Because there's no zoom, very hard to see here from this angle. So this is standing right at the corner, the new 7th Street project. Crossing down, again, kind of hard to see here as well. And if any public wants to see in the staff report, we've got larger full-size photos that you can go online and click on and see. Or you can drive out there and see them installed today. On the what would this be? North elevation, really kind of hidden by the existing buildings. See them here, and as you get further back, you see them more. That is to be expected. The interesting part about there is, as you get closer to the beach, it becomes more apparent what's being proposed, but it also demonstrates that these would not block our mountain views, which would be another concern. So it's an interesting relationship there. The farther back, the more visible it is, but the farther back, the more you realize that it would not impact our existing mountain views, which again are we have policies to protect those. So with that all being said, the proposed restaurant, again, previously, restaurant again, and the event space in the second floor in the bar use and cafe retail off to the side in the present Oaxaca space, part of present Oaxaca space, would all be consistent with the central business zone district and the visitor serving overlay. No issues there. Setbacks, the front setback, as we had discussed in our conceptual review meeting, the existing shed-roofed little appendage goes right up to the property line. CB zone district requires a 5-foot setback from the property line, and we can apply for a modification to the Planning Commission. And as we've expressed in the staff report and with your supportive comments last time, we do think staff believes that that's an appropriate request for a modification. It's not dissimilar to other buildings downtown, and we think we can make the findings based on the additional open space landscaping requirements. So I think there was unanimous support for that last time. Nothing's changed with that design, and still requesting a modification as part of the development plan. Height limit, again, nothing really changing there from the last time that you saw it. It would require a modification for the 1 foot, 1 foot 8 inch exceedance for that bar, the roof element of the bar building. No way around that one. The elevator stair tower, as we discussed, and the atrium element would be considered architectural features that wouldn't require a modification. Site landscaping above the existing percentage, meeting the requirement for site landscaping percentage. Looking straight at site landscaping, approximately 11%. However, in terms of total amount of landscaping, quite a bit more, because we do have that rooftop planter area and the refurbished parking. So we've got about 1,100 square feet of new landscape on the roof and about 700 square feet of the parkway. We can't count that as the site landscaping percentage because, it's not site landscaping, and the refurbished parkway is the city's parkway. But when you total those up, considerably more landscaping than exists today. Okay, so the modifications. So in order for the Planning Commission or City Council on Appeal to approve a modification to the zoning standard, one of the 3 findings below would need to be made. These are all familiar to the ARB, but for the public, these are the legal findings that the decision maker would need to make in order to allow that that relaxed zoning standard. We believe, and I think the board had provided in their comments, that finding number 3. So we don't have to make all of these findings. We need to make at least one. And I think there was overall support by the board at the last meeting that we believe that the finding number 3 for providing a larger amount of open space or landscaping than the minimum requirements of the zone district would be justification for the modification. Now, in that case, we were talking about yard setbacks specifically for the semi-covered patio, dining patio, to go right up to the property line along the Linden sidewalk. But for the modification because the board did provide some comments and staff did kind of, do a deep dive, as you see in the staff report. There may be an argument that could be made that the 1 foot 8 exceedance could be justified by the use of that open space or landscaping requirement. It's a tough one for staff to craft a finding for the Planning Commission to consider, but it's reasonable because we are providing a lot more landscaping than now. Energy efficient heating and cooling, maybe there's something that a mechanical engineer or an expert could help to support that potential finding for the rooftop element. We're not providing affordable housing, so number 2 is out. So any help that you can give staff and probably the applicant too on findings, either 1 or 3, because we know 2 doesn't apply with respect to the rooftop exceedance of 1 foot 8 would be appreciated, because that would be, if things go well at this meeting, their next stop would be the Planning Commission, and I'm sure the commissioners would be very interested to hear your thoughts on that. Those specific findings for the roof exceedance on the bar roof. Staff had, and admittedly, staff in the report was not, I'm not sure how we make that. But your direction, I think, will help with that. I mean, ultimately, it is up to the Planning Commission. It's their, but they do lend a lot of weight. Your comments will lend a lot of weight one way or another. Parking. Noise, parking. So noise study provided, parking study just received yesterday, still analyzing it, but the summary of the parking study is that through the use of carpooling, transportation demand management, which is pretty common for projects for the employees. Now the operator can control employees. So we can deal with I think it was estimated 12 at the peak times, 12 employees being on site at any one time. We can do that with transportation demand management, encouraging carpooling, bus passes, all of those things. Those are things that are within the operator's control. We can't control public parking to the extent that we can give them 9 spaces that are there. The project enjoys 38 space credit in parking lot number 3, but that still leaves us a bit short based on current parking standards. I believe it was 7. That being said, now we have AB 2097, the state law, that basically says when you're within a half mile of a mass transit stop, which in our case is the train station, the city can't impose additional parking standards on either commercial or residential projects except for hotels. And so in this case, the applicant is within their rights to say, I'm going to enjoy the relaxed parking standards of state law, specifically AB 2097, and which they've done. And then the Coastal Commission says, well, in the city policies, we still have to provide, we still can't take away public parking or the ability from the public to access the coast. Given the proximity that we are from the coast, staff asked for the parking study to be provided to make sure that we are compliant with the Coastal Act and we're not going to be taking away coastal visitor parking. And so the parking study, we're still reviewing it right now, but that's kind of the intent. It'll be transportation demand, the bicycles, of course, which we want to see all the time, transportation demand management, employee incentives, carpooling, van pooling, pickup and drop off areas, et cetera. More an issue for the Planning Commission to consider, but we have done that additional analysis and feeling like there is the ability to be consistent with the Coastal Act requirements to not be taking away visitor serving parking, and they continue to enjoy those parking credits that the restaurant had always enjoyed. Now, there were public comments about, potential residential parking, passes and all of those kind of things. Those would all be things to be considered as part of the Planning Commission's deliberation, and just from a practical perspective, if that would work. But the hope is, again, with a carefully crafted parking management plan, that will come out the other side with something that's workable, given the constraint that the state's put on us with AB 2097. So, in summary, we're looking for your comments, and again, it is here for preliminary review. So, if your board thinks that the project is ready to proceed to the Planning Commission, that would be the next step. So, we're looking for your comments on the consistency with the applicable city regulations and VA overlay requirements, the overall adaptive reuse and redevelopment of the historic building, compatibility with the downtown core and small beach town character, the appropriateness and compatibility of the new rooftop elements with the surrounding downtown area, visibility, mass scale, and height, now that we have the story poles up, and the overall building architecture and landscaping. And so with that, I am finished.
Okay. Well done, well done. Any questions for staff real quick?
No.
Nope. Okay, then we'll go to the applicant. Here we go.
Thank you very much. Good evening, board members. I'm Laurel Perez with SEPS Land Use Consulting, and we are very pleased to be here with Becker Studios and Papatero Studios to present the plans. Thank you, Brian, for a very thorough staff presentation, as always. Much appreciated. We'll try to not do too much repeat and keep this as skinny as we can, and address questions. So with that in mind, I'm just going to touch briefly on the land use issues that relate to the project design, your design issues, starting first with noise. And as Brian, you've clarified, we did in fact extend that rooftop wall, screening wall, to address the concerns on noise by about 10 linear feet. So that's a little over 6 foot tall wall that extends along that northern boundary, which I think is an improvement in terms of addressing the concerns that you all had on noise. Then the noise study was prepared and confirmed that complete occupancy and use of the restaurant, including use of the rooftop lounge area, those noise levels are well below the city's threshold. So we were very pleased with that conclusion. That said, this is a restaurant. This is not a club or a music concert venue or nightclub by any means. And the hours of operations will end at 10 o'clock, consistent with city policies. Finally, parking. The parking management plan is going to be very robust. These, the owners are completely committed. First of all, one of their main priorities is to hire local Carpinteria residents. This is a local family. They live here. They are committed to managing this at a local level, and it's really important to them that they are engaging and employing Carpinteria residents. And that, I think, is going to help them to be successful in terms of getting folks to ride their bike and walk and carpool, to the site for employment. So that with the combined bike storage, secure bike storage area, the additional bike racks on 7th Street, we think is going to be a huge improvement. And they're working with their traffic engineers to come up with a transportation demand management program that incentivizes employees, provides for bus passes, provides additional funding for those that are carpooling and using alternative transportation. So we think that that's really going to help, and we look forward to presenting more detail on that to the Planning Commission. Rooftop safety. I think that the details that are now provided in the set really demonstrate the setback from the roof edge with that robust planted area and the screening wall. So if you've got any questions on that, happy to cover that in the presentation. The rear stairs with the metalwork detailing is now included in the plan set and hopefully addresses the comment that you all had at the last meeting. Then Environmental Health Services, as you've heard, has required these roll-up doors just around the rooftop lounge itself to secure it during off hours. And those would be interior to the roof, so they wouldn't be visible from the edges. In addition, Environmental Health Services required us to enclose the exterior covered storage area. So that's been actually repurposed now as that employee lounge area. And I know there were comments at the last meeting about making sure that the employees had a comfortable but yet enclosed area to, hang out during their shift. So that's now been incorporated onto the ground floor. Landscaping, I think, is the most important element of this project. I really do. I think it does go a long way to helping the Planning Commission eventually support the requested height modification. When you look at what is there today, it's approximately, roughly 700 square feet. And that, the planter strip that is within the city's right-of-way is so sparse, it really needs help. and this applicant is committed to making sure that this is an absolutely beautiful site. I think that's expressed through their commitment to restoring this iconic historic building. But that will follow through with the landscaping. And, when you consider the ground level landscaping, which constitutes 11% of the site, and that's not including the Public Works right-of-way, it's well above the 5% minimum that would be required for this lot size. But when you add in the rooftop, the additional rooftop screening, we're at 21%, and that's significant. When the maximum that could be required in support of, by the Planning Commission is 20%. We're feeling really good that we're able to squeeze out as much as we can to contribute to improving the landscaping. Let's see. So getting to the height modification, when I read the code, I just wanted to share this because I think this is important for us to consider. And this is straight out of your code. If it is determined that such modification is necessary to accommodate an innovative project, which will result in at least one of the following public benefits: energy efficient heating or cooling, affordable housing, which doesn't apply here, and provision of a larger amount of open space or landscaping than the minimum requirements of the district. Those are the two that we're after. The atrium in this building, in addition to renovating this building with added insulation and restoring the windows and improving efficiency within the kitchen and the cooking areas, the atrium itself is going to allow so much more natural light into that building that the energy efficiency, I think, is going to be huge and demonstrative. Then there's the landscaping, which, again, we're providing nearly double what would be, more than double what would be required. And in addition to that, opening up this opportunity for the community and visitors alike to enjoy this new experience on the rooftop of views. Wait till you see our presentation. I can't wait to show you guys this. Decker's going to do this. Well, no, I really wanted Becker Studios they went up and took remember the last time we discussed, well, what does it look like from the roof? Well, you're going to see it. So, it just, when getting back to that finding again, modifications can be supported for an innovative project, which results in either energy efficiency or the provision of a larger amount of landscaping. Well, we're hitting both of those. So I'm confident that we can make that, demonstrate that to not only you, but the Planning Commission. So we look forward to your comments on that. Let's see. And again, now having seen the story poles, and I hope everyone has gotten out there and walked around and seen that, and I appreciate staff's conclusion in their staff report that roof element does not significantly alter public views to the mountains or the beach, but instead, having an opportunity to open up the rooftop to the public allows us to view the mountains and the beach in a different way. So just in conclusion, I think those are the land use issues I wanted to hit before I turn it over to Becker, Daryl Becker, and Elisa. And we look forward to your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's not a lot to add to this presentation because it's been so thoroughly presented, I think, by staff and SEPS and Laurel. What I What I do want to touch on is just the overall benefit I think that this project provides for the community. I mean, the historic renovation and the commitment to connect to the streetscape and the early planning, I think are huge elements that hopefully breathe new life into the downtown. I know it's already been done with the property across the street. I did want to simply today just take you to the views because I described them previously. We do have images up now which illustrate the view to the ocean from the top of the building. This is down coast towards Santa Barbara here. The tile in the right corner is covering up the harbor, but you can see that.
AI telling us what we're seeing on the
Yeah,
screen.
is that what it's doing?
Weird.
I can't read that far. But you can see the harbor in Santa Barbara from that view there, which is quite remarkable. And then I think the cool thing that happens is we start to see the Carpinteria Valley in these other images. And so they're, you know, on the roof, it does really, truly marry the sea to the mountains here that we all enjoy. So we're really excited about it. That's all I really have to add to the presentation. I know we would like to discuss our landscape and our inclusion of irrigation in this program. Wanna-
Just like Daryl said, Elisa Reed, Studio Papaterra, we responded to your comments, and everybody mentioned we added bike parking. We took over the parkways to extend the landscape, make it more robust and a better experience for the street level. We included that small planter along the edge of the parking spots to buffer the parking from the sidewalk even further. The parkway landscape includes pass-through for access points so that people parking on the street can walk through without any issues, as well as a 12-inch, what we call parking strip. So along the edge of the street, we have a 12-inch plus curb, which adds to 18 inches for someone to get out of their car and step outside and join the sidewalk. We have additional vines, too, on the top right corner will be northwest of the site. There's a vine pocket there to screen our fence at the edge of the alleyway. And some of the parkway alone is exactly the quantity of landscape currently on site. So we feel pretty happy about this. There's also landscape that's not even counted, which is along the edge of the trellis at the sidewalk level, which will also add more greenery to the street. Some of the comments Blakemore made last time was to put hardier plants along the base of the building sidewalk edge, which we did. We selected just Baccharis and Eriogonum to be our ground cover there, and added also the Leucospermum in order to create like a bigger, bolder color splash. And then the comments that came yesterday from planning or what is it? Public Works asked us to remove the Bidioca, the Mexican grass tree, the Leucospermum, and the Abutilon from the parkway. And so they suggested Muhlenbergia, deergrass, seaside daisy, Salvia bisblis, and a few others. And we think that those three options are great, and we're going to both integrate it into the parkway and onto the site so that it feels, again, like one landscape. And I think that's pretty much it for us. The mural.
Please.
The next page, I believe, is, yes. Oh, no. There.
There we go. First page.
Yeah. The mural, we continued with the idea of that plein air, very soft wash of sky, mountains, and ocean, valley and ocean. But we wanted to show how, with our landscape intervention, it's not going to be such a visible element. It's very subtle. And Something we didn't address, but we will be doing, is adding color to the roof elements so they're not white and it fades a little bit more, less reflective on the sunlight. So continue that coloring onto the roof is one of the moves that we're going to do next. And that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Questions? No
I did
comments?
just, yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Just trying to make sure that I'm clear on kind of the numbers, because it seems like there might be a discrepancy on the landscape. On A06, we've got 2,613 square feet of landscaping, and on your Wheelos sheet, you've got 3,348. And it does also look like you've listed some high water use plants, which fortuitously, you don't seem to have spec'd on the project any high-use plants that I can see, which is great, but I just want to make sure that your numbers are jiving there and that we're accurately portraying that.
Yes. So for the site on ground plane, we have 1,478 square feet. That 1,478 includes 173 square feet of the atrium, which will be a high water use element because we are on interior space and, dapple light and all that. And so that 173 square feet is the courtyard atrium. And then the parkway is 713 square feet, which is not included in our overall square footage of the site, since it's not part of the site, and that may be the 2,000 to 3,000, exactly, because we're planning on irrigating it and maintaining it, and and then the rooftop has 1,157. Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions?
Thanks for the noise study. The statistics in it were kind of way over my head, but I just was curious about looking at the numbers. I found it interesting that at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning was the highest level. Why would that be an issue?
I think it's delivery.
It's just deliveries?
Yeah, we understand it to be the deliveries, the delivery trucks, yeah.
I thought, well, maybe there was fire trucks going by or something on those days. But-
Underestimating the rowdy Carpinterian people.
Or the school kids going to, okay. On the 42-inch planters that are up on the roof, are those also going to be kind of like bench seats, or is it just a straight? Okay.
The back of the walls, in some cases, back up to that, so you would sit down, so the rail's above behind it.
Okay. And the other question I had, there is on Facebook, there's a Carpinteria, the world's safest beach website. And one of the people on there had a comment from Betty. From Betty Rowland. Is she here by any chance? No. Okay, her comment was, I hope they don't disturb the cement plaque out front that has my family's names on it, as it started the Palms years ago, a special memory for the family. So I'm just wondering if that plaque's going to stay there. I've never seen it, but
I have not seen it either. We will make a note of that.
I think there's several name plaques in front on the sidewalk, and they're all sort of loose and sort of.
There are, and did she indicate is that not on Linden, right, on the 7th Street side?
she didn't say where it was. It just that it's,
It would have to be, right?
All right, we'll look into it.
That will know.
The plaques are commemorative plaques, and they're both on Linden, I think on 7th. And I know they look a little sloppy now because we haven't had a lot of landscaping attention there. And I did bring this up in a comment in the letters to our coastal view. If you were going to reposition, keep the plaques in the same position as they were, because as you walk down 7th toward Carp Avenue, there are other plaques placed, and I think they're all supported by Carpinteria Beautiful, but the whole point is that a family has spent money to commemorate a member of the community, and I'm sure
Okay,
everybody
those are the
would like to
plaques
have
you're
them.
talking
That makes sense. Yeah, that
Okay.
Yeah.
that makes
I don't
sense.
know how they're secured in the ground, all I know they're there.
Yeah, dedicated, dedication.
Okay.
No
They're
problem.
in the landscaping, yeah.
Okay, we'll integrate it.
Thank you for clarifying that. I think they were on a wall.
Me too. That's what I was.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Just reading the comment, I didn't know
They're
where it
on the
was.
sidewalk
so.
landscape,
Okay.
yes.
They're all over town.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, sure.
That's Carp Beautiful does that.
Doesn't take much to produce our town.
There you go. All right, thank you.
And then the other question I had is, looking at the plans, I didn't see a barbecue for barbecuing your own steaks.
That's gonna be a condition that
That, Richard, that'll be up to the planning commission, so
Yeah.
make sure that, get that.
we already tried that. It's
part of the TI plan.
Okay.
No, okay, then I'm gonna open this up to the public.
Mr. Chair, so we've got the written comment from Patrick O'Connor, which was one comment for both projects. We've also got, just wanted to make sure that you acknowledged from Antonio Sotello was an email comment, and basically, I'll let you paraphrase, but in support of the project. And then another emailed comment from Channing Grant, much the same supportive comments. And then we do have one request to speak here for you.
Okay, thank you.
And then if there's anyone else that likes to speak on this, yeah, I'll get that
Come
from
on
you.
down, Betty. You want me to come down? Or, never mind, Brian's coming to you.
I got it.
All right, thank you, excuse me.
And we do have speaker slips. If anybody wants to speak, you can just speak, and then just make sure you leave the slip before you
You're
go.
white now, not green, so it's okay.
Go figure.
Yeah, threw me off. Okay, Michael Rogers, you're up first. Come on up. Yeah, it's easier to hear.
Right here. You can push the green light there.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, board members and city. Thank you very much for the opportunity to express my enthusiasm for this project. I co-own General Public LLC. We're an art publishing and printing company just a block down from the Palms on the corner of Linden and 6th. And I am thrilled that this is moving forward. It's great. And I'm thrilled with what you previously approved with the construction on the 700 block. And I think this project, as proposed, is a perfect complement to what you've already established there for the beautification of the city and the business use as well. But the renderings for the restaurant and the bar look fantastic. And, as a business owner that brings a lot of customers into our facility and vendors, it's a little challenging to find a great place to take them. And I think this restaurant looks amazing. But what I'm also really thrilled about is the second floor, which is the event space. Because other than in my factory space, which is kind of noisy and not really designed for a lot of presentations, I think this is going to be a great use for me to go and bring those people there in a really pretty environment by the look of it. So I'm happy about that. And the bar, what better way to end the day is to go upstairs, right, and have a drink in the open air bar with our beautiful mountains behind us and the ocean in front of us. So, I really ask that you approve this project as proposed. It's going to be great for all us business owners. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Betty, come on down, or up, or wherever.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My problem is rooftop bars and lounges. I'm really upset about the whole thing. I don't think it's Carpinteria at all. There's already been one okayed in Omwig area, and they were going to have music, and we think they were going to put plexiglass up to prevent it. And if the proposed hotel goes in at it down at the parking lot 3, they also are proposing a rooftop bar, and these are all in neighborhoods, and we need to protect our neighborhoods. We're losing them regularly. My street is gone, and it's all money. This just does not seem like Carpinteria. It seems like more like the funk zone in Santa Barbara. And I was the noise levels they were talking about. No one said what the noise level was for Carpinteria. And is there any difference between the daytime and the evening at the noise level? And we just know things are not the way they seem. I have a next door neighbor who went through through the architectural review and the planning, and it's been 7 years of hell, and there's nothing to be done about it. And I think you just have to be really careful with these things and look out for our neighborhoods, because they are really suffering. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
That's okay.
Oh, come on up.
You can fill one after.
Yeah.
If there's any public comments over Zoom, go ahead and just raise your hand and I'll get to you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Do I need to give my name? Oh, yeah, obviously you want to know who I am. My name is.
Yeah, who are you?
Yes, I'm sure you guys recognize me. I'm the sports photographer for the paper and the yearbook. I'm Rosanna Swing. Do I need to give my address too? All that? Okay, Rosanna Swing. First, on the parking, which I know is always a sensitive issue. I know you want to take the second level and make it banquet rooms versus hotel rooms, which the building originally was a hotel. But with the banquet rooms, on the capacity of the banquet rooms, are you going to have rooms that are for 10 people only, or 20 people only, or 30 people only? And how are they going to be booked? All the same time, one at a time? Well, just say, for example, so you have your banquet room that takes 20 people, and you're going to have your market open probably, and you're going to be having your customers for your restaurant. So you're going to have a lot of people. You're going to have upstairs and you have the downstairs. Now the parking. Now you got 20 people upstairs and you got your restaurant customers downstairs, which I know what they're going to stay, an hour to 2 hours, depending. I'm sure your food will be delicious. So how are you going to accommodate your parking for your banquet rooms? That's just one consideration. I'm just thinking you're going to have a lot of people in your building, maybe all at one time. Then I know you put this statistic up there that you'll have, you're credited 38 spots in Lot 3, which is below the railroad tracks. Am I right? I'm trying to visualize all of that.
Existing Lot 3.
Or is existing Lot 3 where the Surfliner is supposed to be? Okay. But say, okay, the Surfliner is going to take up half the lot. So all those parking spaces are gone. And of course, they're going to need parking spaces too. And they'll probably say, well, you really can't use our parking space for our clientele. So we're going to shuffle, because on the other side of the railroad tracks will be like a replacement of what the Surfliner is going to take. Now, are there any liability issues? So your customers, say, are going to park in this parking lot on the other side of the railroad tracks. They're going to cruise across the railroad tracks, come to the restaurant, or maybe go to the rooftop bar. And I know everyone has to pay attention to the amount they drink and everything, but do you feel like you might have any liability? I know you know, they're going to leave and then they're going to have to walk those 3 blocks, cross the railroad tracks. I know we do not have constant trains. We've got a couple of passenger trains that come through at noon, 6:30, and at 9:30, and then freight trains. So that issue of being cognizant of the railroad tracks, because right now all the eating is north of the railroad tracks. Then, okay, parking for your banquet rooms. Sorry. The last thing, it sounds like the bar, the physical bar that's there is going to go, right? You're going to rip out the bar, the wooden bar. I'm just asking.
The entire interior is completely changed.
And that.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, we're going to bring it back to the board, because you need to address us and not the
Oh, I'm sorry.
applicant, okay?
Am I-
That's
am I
okay.
supposed-
And again, if you've got specifics, so you're, because we can't go through every aspect.
No,
of
no,
the
okay, the
building.
last one is, I just want to make a pitch about the bar. I'm sure it's got some valuable wood, and I'll buy it, or, I mean, we'll sell it or something. I hate to see it go to waste. Thank you.
You're
I'll get my
welcome.
sheet
I'm sure if
filled
you
out.
wanted to tear it out, they'd let you. It's oak. No, it's red oak. I remember when they remodeled it. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Chair, let's check one more time
Oh,
on
I'm
Zoom,
sorry.
just to make sure.
Oh, yeah, this is the 20th century, isn't it?
Thank you, Chair. We actually have no comments over Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, but I knew that. Thanks. Again. Okay. Would you like to start?
I think Richard should start.
Richard, would you like to start?
Which one?
I'll start. I mean, I'll start too.
Just as a question to the applicant, does the atrium have to be enclosed all the way up? All 4 sides?
The atrium is,
Portman got around that in his
it's not,
hotels.
it's not intended to be completely glassed in all the way up. It will have some panels out and some open and some
Well, I know you
closed.
have some operating windows in there, but that's
Correct.
about it.
Well, some of the glass panels above safety rail height would be potentially open.
Sure. But it'd be, I think it'd feel airier, more open
Correct.
than if you have a glass wall sitting in front of you while you're dining and looking at a plant that's steaming in a sauna,
Right.
which is what that's gonna be if you don't open everything up. Anyway,
We're in
So
agreement.
atrium should have.
no,
openings.
I'm
Oh,
just,
it's not a comment.
it's a question. I think what you're doing is fine, I love it, and I don't have any complaint about it. I'm disappointed in the, what do you call it, the stairway on the backside. It's gonna be, you know, you drive down the side street there, and there's gonna be a big feature wall, that's gonna be your design element. That's gonna have your name on it, and it's gonna say, Becker did that stupid stairway. Why didn't he do something nice?
Building code, right? Darn building code.
Well, the stairways are required, but you can make something nice out of it. If you're gonna not make something nice out of it, why don't you just paint it white and try to make it go away? But I wouldn't recommend it. I'd prefer to do something positive on, you know, with some climbing wisterias and honeysuckle and all those kind of happy things. That's all I have to say.
Okay, very happy things. I'll go to Richard. Richard the second.
I as well really like the renovations that are going to be done to it. I think it's a great location for a restaurant and all. As I voiced the first time, I was a little concerned about the rooftop, and even now with the 42-inch railing, I have grandkids that will love to climb over that wall, especially if it's a bench seat. So it's short.
42 inches.
42 inches, but it has a built-in bench. So my grandkids would be climbing over that real easily. So maybe razor wire or tripwire or something. Or very spiky plants. Yeah, I looked at the plants and I wasn't quite sure which one it was. It's spiky enough?
Very spiky.
Okay, good.
It will keep people from going out there, whether they're young or intoxicated.
Okay, so that's, one of my concerns still. As far as the exceeding the height requirement, I don't have any concerns with that. It's really kind of minimal, and based on the photos that we've seen and looking at the poles and all, it's a minimal effect. The concerns, that the Facebook people also had was just concerns about the noise, especially up on the roof. I would hope that there wouldn't be any bands or loud music, cover music at all up there, just to help the neighborhood out. And the parking, and as it's been voiced by a lot of people, whether or not the residents of that neighborhood could get parking permits so that they could at least park in front of their own house would be helpful as well. Barbecue, still come back to that. Other than that, I think it's a great project and look forward to dining there.
Okay. Miss Amy, yes.
So overall, yeah, I think I could support the mod with the landscape and open space being a public benefit. I think that's, clearly you're providing a really nice space that's not here now.
Both? Sorry.
In the rooftop?
Both for height and for setback. We've got 2 modification requests. I'm hoping to get some feedback so we can.
Yes, I think both.
Thank you.
And I also, as far as the parking's concerned, I know it's problematic all over the downtown T, but it is the downtown. You have a site design that you are very limited on. There's nothing to be changed on the historic nature of the building, so you are working with what you have, and I think that works. In terms of the mural, I like the colors. I think it's nice. I don't know that you need a mural necessarily. You do you. I think the landscaping is great. I would love to see an irrigation plan, you know me, which we don't quite have yet, but judging from the palette of plants that are presented, I think it's very appropriate, and I think it's going to be a really nice benefit to the downtown.
Thank you. Okay, first things first. When they redid it in the 60s, it wasn't a bar. It was a hair salon in the front. It was terrible. Then they redid it again, and they had the red oak bar, and they maximized it. They put the bar on the other side. I don't have any problem with the height or the setback in the front either. I mean, this is going to be exceptional for the building. It'll be unique. I mean, we've seen other areas where we've fudged a little bit on the height as well. And I think the public benefit outweighs that. As far as the sound, I got to tell you, sound studies went out the door for me after our new freeway project going through, that we were told quiet concrete, sound walls, you won't even know it's there. It's worse than it's ever been and I live on that side of the freeway. So the thing to prevent that is we've extended the wall, which we asked because, again, line of sight with the neighborhood over on 8th Street. That really helps. And I think, too, not just bands or live music, and I know that should be a condition, but I think any kind of additional sound up there, you're just going to have, amplified, any kind of amplified music should not be up there. Again, you're going to go up there, enjoy the view, have cocktails with friends, or, just enjoy it. As far as grandkids, I do not let my grandkids mess around in a restaurant. I don't let my kids, and they're bigger than I am now, so maybe parenting will come back and be what it should be. So, oh, trust me, I got twin boys, double in trouble, and they know how to toe the line. So, anyway, I think this is going to be a great contribution to the community. Carpinteria has evolved since this was first built as a hotel. So I think this is just part of the evolution, and you're going to take a historic building and make it historic for the next 100 years. So I appreciate this. we've seen it here, the first go-around, I think you've got a lot of positive comments, and I'm happy to see you incorporated a lot of the comments, so. And sound being number one. Again, growing up in the beach area, ocean side of the tracks, I know that the Palms was used mainly by people walking there, and that's what you're gonna get a lot of foot traffic, so the parking issue isn't gonna be, I think, as bad as we think it's gonna be. That being said, I would recommend we move this forward to the planning commission.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
with that recommendation, that's great. Anything specific? I'm looking for really good, great motion comments for planning commission's consideration. For instance, if your
Two of the
board was
three.
not, I heard a couple of times, and I think we heard it before, no amplified music.
Right.
Those kind of things would be great to have for consideration by the planning commission, since it sounds like we're going to move it along to the planning commission. So now's kind of the chance, and staff would love to have that so that we can have that discussion in the staff report for the commission. So
Okay, I think Amy touched on it. I see 2 out of the 3 that we need to push this forward.
yeah, I think I got those in the minutes, so it seems clear that
Okay.
you're supportive, that we think we can make at least one of the modifications, and that's your recommendation. Anything?
I would say as far as the amplified music should be in the motion, if everybody's in agreement with that, help protect the community.
I agree, there's nothing more soothing than a harp playing instead of drums.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that would be applicable to the rooftop bar only, but
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
inside, if there was interior, that would be.
Yeah, that would be different, just the rooftop, because again, that's what the biggest concern that we've heard.
Yeah.
So
support
it would be just maintained to the top.
Yeah, sounds great. So if we can get that motion, I'll record it.
Okay, I'd move that we move this forward to the planning commission with, I've heard the majority of the board, if not all, item 1 and 3 are applicable for the findings, as well as no amplified music for the rooftop bar. The one thing that I thought I did hear, God, this is terrible. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's so much better. The third floor, or the rooftop, did I understand you're gonna paint that, I think we mentioned it before, a darker color to kind of blend in from the rest of the building, soften it? Okay, that's perfect.
That's you putting it down.
I know. Well, I can't see. So, anyway, that would be in my motion.
Okay, so what I got, if I can repeat it, preliminary approval, recommending moving on to the planning commission with the condition, and that the board feels like that both modifications can be met, both modifications finding 1 and 3 can be, can satisfy the setback encroachment and the height exceedance. And your recommendation is to, that the planning commission should include a condition of no amplified music on the roof, and that the board would prefer to see a darker color on the rooftop element.
Anything to add?
That's fine, and spiky plants.
Oh, spiky plants?
Spiky plants.
And how do you feel about the vines? Oh, they got them, yeah. How about the vines going up the stairway? Because that does look rather stark, or is that problematic?
Are you gonna be able to find some dirt to plant there? Not really, it's all
No, it's
pavement,
out-
and
all
it's gonna be
paved.
difficult to irrigate.
Okay,
Paint and/or
okay. So
railing design.
with the paint, darken or lighten up the railings, or blend it into the walls.
It's up to the applicant, he can go either way on it.
Okay,
Just say consider.
Consider.
Modification of
Yeah.
the railing.
there you go.
Right.
Okay.
I'll second.
Is that good enough
Is that
for you?
good enough, right?
Yeah, that's great. I had Brad with the motion and
Yep.
Amy for the second, and we just need your vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Onward and upward.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
then-
guys.
Did we-
Oh.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. So we're just going to do our housekeeping items and continue on. Yeah, dinner sounds good. So how'd the minutes look? Do you feel?
Oh, I'm gonna, write them. It's okay with me? I am abstaining because I was not here.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, abstain. Okay.
I have no matters. Staff has no matters.
Okay. Matters by board members. I'm really ticked off about parklets. And they're gonna. Huh?
They're still out there.
I know. Well, they're coming back with the city. I mean, and we were pretty adamant against it.
we told them
And
to forget it.
everyone's.
working on it?
Oh, look, one in front of Brassburg, one in front of Nut Belly. Then you got Esau's too. And I'm waiting to see, Brian, are there any more coming in?
So I think what happened is, there was a certain amount of funds set aside and purchases, and then the property owner could lease them through that process, and then that's all. So those were all done, and now it's up to the property owners to fund their. I'm probably getting that wrong. But there was a certain amount of money allocated, and then they could do like a lease it from the city at a certain rate, over time, and then that's all dried up. So now, if you're a business owner that wants one of these, you just have to pay for it. So that's what I know. So what I would suggest is that your board, right, because you are the aesthetic review and neighborhood compatibility and all that, that you perhaps request that we schedule this for an item, right, on an upcoming agenda, and then we can get Public Works, John and Public Works staff in here and have that, discussion. That's your role, right, as aesthetics and compatibility, and that's something that you can refer or request that it comes back as an item, and you can make special comments to the Planning Commission, right, and say, hey, I think Planning Commission, you should take this up for X, Y, or Z, although it probably makes more sense to have a discussion, right, and get something on record and have that back and forth. And then if that needs to go to Planning Commission or to City Council, then there's some deliberation that was had and some comments and discussion that you can use. So it's up to you. You're the chair. You can decide to, hey, I'd like to, have this come back on a future agenda for discussion, and then we can set that up.
I would like that.
Is there any time limit for them? Are they forever?
That'll be one of the questions that you're going to ask, because I don't know.
Okay, well, then you've got.
Because these are the public works run, right? So we have the two. We have the private property ones, which I'm pretty much processing, and you'll see maybe one or two more, but those are kind of getting those are pretty easy, like the Sunburst one, which is taking their existing patio that was put in during COVID, and the Giovanni's, and right. So the public works ones are a different animal, and those are regulated through the public works their parklet regulations. So I don't know what their standards are in terms of length of time and that sort of thing. I will make that note, and we will get it on an upcoming agenda as a discussion item. That'll be the 17th.
I'm pretty sure I'll.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. Just throw something at me. I respond better to that.
I'll just start hitting.
Well, Amy will do it. Yeah, she's good at that. October 17th, I'm pretty sure I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I should be here.
That should be too.
Okay.
That's great. And just as a reminder, we canceled Halloween.
Why?
The whole holiday?
Yeah, no candy.
Yeah, oh, good.
We canceled ARB so that the members can enjoy Halloween.
I unleashed the hounds myself in my yard. Okay.
So the surf liner's not going to be on the 17th?
No.
Oh,
No.
no. they got
We're
a lot.
looking further out, probably December.
Okay.
Well, and that's what we are trying to coordinate on a date, because obviously with that project, we're not going to have any other items. It's
No.
just going to be that project.
When does the city treat us to a Christmas dinner?
You'll have to take that up with the.
Yeah, we used to.
Hope Branch does.
Yeah, we used to. I don't know what happened.
You have to take that.
Dinner?
Take that up with the city manager.
Great meal.
Wow.
Lobster, whatever you want.
I like that.
I think we can make some pizzas appear. I think that's probably within the budget.
Okay, with that, I'll adjourn. Hey, my son.
7:14. Thank you. Thank you all.